Welcome to the Attune podcast. I am Ash Marshall O'Dell, spiritual teacher and mentor, healer, intuitive, medium, empath, shaman, Reiki master and teacher, meditation facilitator, crystal therapist, master's degree teacher, and author of the book Lightbound, A Healer's Journey Through Trauma, CPTSD, and Anxiety. In Season 2 of the Attune podcast, we delve into connections as new guests share stories, skills, and tools to help you tune into possibilities for self-empowerment, growth, and adventure. Hi, Ash Marshall O'Dell with the Attune podcast, and I am joined today by Willow Heveron, who is a vibrational sound practitioner for the last 7 years and a tarot reader for 38 years. And we are so excited to get to do this talk today. Welcome, Willow, and thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for asking me, Ash.
This is going to be fun. Tarot is such a fantastic sort of look into yourself in different ways and all the beautiful different types of decks and everything that are available. So I'm really curious, what actually drew you to tarot?
Well, ever since an early age, I've been interested in the occult. And I came across my first deck when I was in my 20s. And I was just mesmerized by the art, by the vibrant colors, by the three-dimensional aspects of the cards. And also, my father was a Freemason, and he was a member of the Scottish Rite. And so I remember visiting the temple in Portland one day with them, and of course they could never show me their secrets, but they took me into their theater and took me backstage, where they gave me a tour and showed me the costumes that they would wear to put on these plays to portray the occult knowledge. And I was so interested in that. And then the more that I've studied the cards depict a lot of the knowledge from the Freemasons and that occult knowledge, especially the Rider-Waite-Smith deck has a lot of that, the influence from the Freemasons. And just learning more about the tarot, it's really rich with history and cultural knowledge and wisdom from a broad spectrum of society. And just being able to tap into that deep inner wisdom that we all hold. It's a wonderful tool to get to know yourself.
That's beautifully said, yes. And I did not even know anything about the Freemason connection. How interesting. And what a wonderful introduction to that. That must have been so exciting when you were younger.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So it just opened up a whole new door of exploration for me.
Awesome. So I love to ask this question. What is your very favorite thing about doing the tarot reading?
Well, as a practitioner, I love to read for other people and have an active engagement with the querent or the seeker when they come with a problem or for clarity. And so the interpretation of the cards acts as a catalyst for them to dive into their own unconscious and get the answer. I don't necessarily always have the answer for them, because when I give a reading, I like to have the seeker sit next to me so we both can explore the cards together. And so when this person has an epiphany, I just love seeing that and sharing that epiphany, that moment. And I don't know, it gives hope and clarity and for a bright future.
That sounds fabulous. What a great tool to kind of, one, as you say, get to know your subconscious, and two, to have sort of an empowered look at maybe what you're trying to get in touch with within yourself in whatever situation. And how fabulous to do that side by side with the person that you're reading for.
Yes, I don't like having the person sit across the table from me because I like them to look at the cards and have that experience.
That's a great connection, isn't it? Because if someone is sitting across from you, you're sort of seeing the cards upside down, which is a totally different meaning than, if they're right side up. So, what an interesting and fun thing to do with the person so they get to explore and connect not only with you, but the cards themselves. And I'm guessing you encourage lots of questions.
Yes, I do.
So, you have this really great cup, and I would love for you to put it up so people can see.
I love it.
And this is the High Priestess. And what do you love about her? Because I know she's one of the major ones.
Yes, she's a card of intuition and looking beyond the veil to have access to the arcane secrets.
It's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, fun.
How amazing. And so representative of actual reading itself, right? Yeah, it's amazing. I have to say that my first deck that I ever got was Celtic Animals. One, just very drawn to the animals, the pictures, and the meanings. And then my second one, which I have loved ever since, is the Kuan Yin deck.
I don't have that deck. I'll have to check it out.
The artist is beyond phenomenal. I just love to look at the artwork. And I believe the author of it was Elena Fairchild, I think it was. But the artist, if I could blow them up and just hang them on my wall, I would hang every one of them up. They're stunningly beautiful and intricate. And yeah, and then I became interested in a quantum tarot deck. A friend told me about that, and I was like, I have to have this one. And it is amazing. I just love it. Yeah. So, do you have a couple other ones? I know that the Rider Waite is your absolute favorite, but you said you had quite a few. So, I'm super curious what some of the other sort of types of decks that you have are.
Well, my first deck was actually the Morgan Greer, which I was attracted to because of the vibrant colors. But it mostly depicts the faces and not the whole landscape that the Waite Smith deck portrays. So I switched over to the Waite Smith deck, and I'm actually just got a new deck called the Thoth deck,
Yes.
and and I got a book, and I just got it. So that is going to be my next scholarly endeavor to learn about that deck because it is different than the Waite Smith deck.
I remember seeing that one, and I had major lust for it. I just wasn't able to get it at that time, but it looked phenomenal. The art is
Art is
superb.
amazing. Yes.
Mm, that would be quite a fun time to get to unbox and look through all of that.
Yes. Yeah. It'd be fun to have a tarot party, wouldn't it?
Yes, so much yes on that one. Yes, always. And just to get to share and talk about and do experiences. I know that I started doing my own personal readings back in like 2018 with my first deck. And there was so much that I just didn't know. Like, and I still know very little. I will just tell you truly. I do it intuitively, but I haven't studied. You have delved deeply. In fact, I believe your trip to Ireland was um, like a retreat for,
Yeah.
yes. Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about that? Because some of the pictures that you posted, it was beautiful and amazing. The castle, all of that. Can you talk about your trip?
Well, the first 10 days of my trip there, I went to a tarot study retreat. Um, and we stayed in a castle, and it was amazing. Um, it was wonderful. So it just reinforced in me and validated that I'm a really good reader. you know, uh, but I have so much to learn. I still have so much to learn. I just feel like with the tarot, I have just scratched the surface. There's so much
Amazing.
to learn. And then after that, my husband joined me in Dublin, and we took another 3 weeks to explore Ireland.
Mm,
So
sounds
that
like
was just
heaven.
amazing. Yes, it was wonderful.
So, when you think about tarot, I think probably a lot of people maybe don't understand it, what it is exactly, and what it does as far as a benefit to the person. You had talked about, clarity and insight and hope. And I'm hoping you might talk a little bit more about that, sort of what a tarot reading might look like, as well as how it helps that person to connect to themselves in that way that you mentioned.
Well, I think that a tarot reading helps to harness our creativity and our imagination. And through using our imagination, we tap deeply into our intuition. Um, and that also leads to harnessing our spiritual intelligence. So it's so broad to me. Like my take on reading tarot is that we tap into our unconscious, which taps into the collective unconscious if we tap into with our energy into the cards. And we can call this energy chi energy, pranayama energy, the universal life force energy. And that's an amazing tool that is at your disposal when you use the cards.
That's beautiful. I had not even considered that either. So I'm fairly new, uh, and you've definitely actually taught me quite a bit in just a few minutes that we've been chatting about it. So thank you for that. I'm super intrigued now, even more than when I first learned about it. So when you're doing a reading for a person, say they come to you and they would like to decide between two choices, what would a reading sort of look like if they want to, if I go with this choice or that choice? Um, is there like specific readings that you do for choosing, or different types of readings that you might do, or spreads, I think they're called for
Oh
people?
man, there's so many spreads, and I'm still learning a lot about spreads. New ones are always coming up, um, and I think that tarot, it can be systematic and analytical also, as well as very intuitive. So a tarot reading can say, well, if you do this, this might be the possible outcome. But if you don't want that outcome, you can do this. The cards it's pretty amazing what cards come up in a reading, and the synchronicity that happens with the cards.
Is that
So
amazing?
I can't really explain how it works. I just think that it's part of that chi energy, the universal life force energy from the collective unconscious, and it's pretty amazing. But I think it's important to have a well formulated question.
Oh, I could see that definitely. Yeah,
That's the
lots of
hardest
things.
part, I think, is coming up with a well formulated question. And not so much, well, should I marry this man that way, or when am I going to meet my true love? It doesn't work that way. It might work as well. Maybe if you do this or work on this aspect of yourself, this will open you up to finding the love that is right for you. That type of thing.
Wow, that's a fabulous way to look at it. So it's more about um, tuning into yourself and developing yourself to find or meet or choose in a way that serves you. So that's kind of amazing. So self development is apparently, from what I'm hearing you say, a pretty big aspect of a reading.
Totally, totally. Self development, self empowerment,
Mm.
getting to know yourself, and also learning about the law of cause and effect.
That's a good law to learn, isn't it? That personal responsibility. Yes, so much yes to that one. Yeah, so I would love to ask you. Um, I have not delved too deeply in the Rider Waite, which was, I believe, the traditional, and I can't remember if that's a 72 card deck or if that was a
78.
78 card deck. Okay, wow. And I remember coming across the Devil and the Tower and going, "Oh, that doesn't seem pleasant." So I'm really curious, though. Um, a lot of people fear or groan about those cards. So what do these really actually mean, and how did those quote unquote, Devil and Tower cards actually help us?
Well, those cards in the Tarot deck, along with the Devil and Death, can look very scary and intimidating to a person who doesn't understand the Tarot. So the Tarot represents a wide spectrum of the human condition, which is both good and evil, the dark side and the light side. Um, and so, for instance, let's look at death. Death doesn't necessarily mean death in the Tarot. It can mean a transformation and letting go of what no longer serves you, and then a rebirth or a different way of knowing. And if you look at the death card, I have it here. I really like this because the colors are so vibrant.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
But in the death card, you can see between the towers in the background a beautiful sunrise, which is indicating a rebirth. And then the bishop is a symbol of hope. So it's kind of like shedding the old and embracing the new. So, and I'll give you an example too. I got back from a trip to Ireland that I went for a month, and I did a short spread, a short reading, and I drew the death card. And so it wasn't frightening to me, but I knew that part of the reason for me going there to Ireland was I wanted transformation. I wanted a change within myself. And and that's what happened going there. And I guess, like, if you can look at the card without fear and overcome your fear, then when the change comes, you're informed and you're prepared, right? Another good one is the devil card. That scares a lot of people, right?
Yes. Right?
Okay. And so the devil signifies materialism and bondage, and allowing our inner demons to control us. And frankly, nobody wants to look at their dark side. That's not comfortable, but that's what this card indicates. And, but another thing in this card is that the man and the woman, they have these chains around their neck, but they're loose. They could take them off anytime they want to. These chains of bondage, right? When I see this card a lot, quite a few times come up in a spread for a seeker, it indicates that they have been abusing alcohol, abusing drugs, have exercised other negative influences in their lives. that they have control over and they can change.
So it's kind of a card of empowerment through choice, not easy change by any stretch of the imagination, but the fact that you have that ability to do so. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a hopeful card when you look at it in that light, which is kind of awesome.
Right. And a lot of people, like I said, this comes up and it's something, especially with addictions, they don't want to look at, but it's right there. And it's amazing how it works in the tarot.
That is absolutely fascinating. Yeah, learning a whole lot of new things today. Um, so, do you by chance have an absolute favorite deck of all time?
Well, I like the Radiant deck of the Waite Smith. Pamela Smith Coleman was the person who painted the cards for Waite, and so I like to call it the Waite Smith deck. But that's my favorite. I mean, I have a whole lot of cards, a lot, but I just keep on gravitating back to that deck because I'm comfortable with it. It's vivid with the colors, and I'm every time I'm still learning. I'm still learning the symbolism in the cards.
They're rich. I mean, just with that one card that you described with the tower, I mean, I didn't know that the bishop stood for hope. That's fascinating. So every single thing in that card, I'm sure, has some type of symbolic meaning that adds a rich layer to the overall reading.
Yes.
That's that's absolutely fascinating in so many ways. And I bet takes a lot of intense study. And as you said, you've been doing and studying for 38 years. So that's a lot of time commitment. So you obviously absolutely adore the tarot and how wonderful the tool that is.
And I'm still learning, and I think the big thing that I've learned through my years of study is that there are key points about how to interpret the cards that are written in books.
Mm.
But don't rely on that all the time. Tap into your intuition and go on that as well, because in a reading you can look at the card and maybe the typical definition doesn't apply, but your intuition is kicking in and giving you a different perspective too.
So letting intuition be your primary guide and maybe whatever book, definition or interpretation is sort of a secondary
I think so.
reading.
That's how it works for me.
That makes a lot of good sense, right?
But if you talk to 10 different tarot readers, you'll get 10 different answers on how they interpret the tarot, how to read the tarot. It's so very subjective.
Fascinating. Well, I'm sure a lot of that has to do with sort of your own um, personal background and just the way that you approach life and so many other factors, I'm sure. And I'm really curious then with that, is there advice that you would give people about tarot and tarot reading?
Let's see. I guess just to find a deck that you really resonate with. If the pictures, the colors catch your eye, and then get to know your deck. Shuffle it. Take 5 minutes every day and shuffle it, and then put it back in order so that you can get to know your deck. And I like to draw a card every day. I keep my deck on my dresser in my bedroom, and so I just draw a card, and not necessarily for advice or anything. I just want to look at it and study it as my day goes by, and maybe do that. Keep a tarot journal. Um, um, just study the books that you're drawn to. Look at the colors in the cards. The colors can signify different things. The the cards are so rich in their imagery. Look at how the water flows, and how the earth, the color of the earth, or how the clothes on the people flow. And just have fun with it and just relax. I would say, too, don't take it too seriously. I went through in my early days of studying tarot, I was very serious about it. And that actually stifled my intuition.
Mm.
And so just have fun with it and kind of go with the flow. And
Enjoy yourself apparently really well.
yeah.
So I know that there are four suits in the traditional. Um, I don't really have a full understanding. So I know there is a cups and pentacles and wands and swords, if I remember correctly. And they each have a different meaning. Can you just briefly kind of give a slight description of what each of those four suits is about?
Okay. Well, briefly, swords corresponds with the element air. And so that has to deal with communication, intellect. Our thoughts go through the air. Um, Human ambition. Um, and swords can also deal with cutting things. So sometimes, making irrational decisions shows up in the swords, and making rational decisions. So then the wands correspond with the element of fire. And so that's about our creativity, our creative endeavors, personal development and growth. The cups correspond with the element of water. And so that is our emotions, our intuition, um, uh, our social lives, love and relationships. And then the pentacles correspond with the element earth. And so that's about our physical and material realm, our work, finances, comfort, things like that. In a nutshell, that's it.
That's amazing. So it's a really sort of robust look, as you said, at the human collective and the sort of the theme of being human, all that we deal with and do.
And those suits deal with kind of like which are called the minor arcana, deal with mostly like our day-to-day life, the activities in our day-to-day life. Whereas in the major arcana is kind of like the global overconsciousness, the archetypes, as Carl Jung would say, the archetypes that we as humans experience in our lifetime. The journey of the fool journeying through all the cards of the major arcana to the ending, which is the world.
That's very, very interesting. I didn't know that those were related to Carl Jung and the archetypes of sort of the human collective. How much impact is there? Because I've heard that, like if you get the archetype cards, that those are considered more powerful than the minor ones, but I didn't know if that was true or not. I just heard that said once. So I'm sort of curious what your take on that is.
I think they have a really a great influence when they show up in a reading. Those are the ones that you really look at. But the minor arcana are just as telling as well. But yeah, the major arcana are like the big events that really impact us. That is my understanding of them.
How does one draw wisdom from that type of reading, if you're new to it? What would you say? So if you say you start doing your card a day and you sit with it and you journal about it, what would you say is the wisdom? Is it sort of like a day by day, or do you want to look at it like a long term? Like, would you set a goal and then just kind of see what comes up, or when you're doing the journaling part of that?
I don't think I would set a goal because I don't think that you should really focus on the outcome. I think it's the journey and the process that's important and not the goal or the outcome. And I think just enjoying the cards. Um, I, if you want to, you can have like a little ritual. I always, when I read my cards, I have my specific candle, my taper candle, in a special holder that I light, and I say words of empowerment before a reading. Um, and that's what tarot is, self-empowerment. And then to tap into your intuition, relax, and being able to access information that you have hidden in your unconscious to bring up to your conscious. Did I answer the question?
You did. You really, truly did in a very beautiful way. And thank you for doing that. Um, I think I had sort of learned that if you set sort of goals, or you have sort of something you're looking towards and you want help getting there to it. But I love the way that you described it more as a journey rather than as sort of an end game or end goal. Because really, as you said, what you're truly accessing is your subconscious and working on yourself, which is always a journey, right? Always.
Right. And the story in the tarot is a journey
It
of,
is.
of the collective of us as human beings. It's our journey that everybody experiences, but which is unique to each individual.
So true. Everybody goes in their own way and time, and the way they do things is unique to them.
Yes.
Yeah. So what a fabulous tool to, as you say, start to get to know yourself more deeply and to have fun. Because I think life is already kind of serious as it is. And so play, it's almost like inviting yourself to play, from what I'm hearing you say, to have fun with it, to play. And giving yourself that gift of some time and enjoyment just to explore and do that. How amazing and self empowering in and of itself.
And depending on the question, you can lay out the cards where it can tell you a story. Have that type of spread. Tell me a story today. Um,
Fun.
yeah, or look at the cards as if they're a painting
Mm,
with a storyline, and you can untap a whole lot of creativity doing that.
you can. And I know that there are tarot decks and then there are oracle decks. And my understanding is the tarot has a specific number, and as you said, the major and minor, and then oracle is, I wasn't quite clear on the oracle. I know it has fewer cards in it. And each one just helps you assist yourself to discover maybe hidden facets. Is that what you would maybe speak to that a little bit for us?
As far as an oracle cards, um, I have a few decks of oracle cards. And so it seems to me that you draw a card and then you read the interpretation that comes with the book. That's how I've used it. And go from there. So I haven't really used oracle cards that much. I've really focused on the tarot more.
Sounds
And
what it's more about intuition with the tarot, and maybe the oracle is more about um, just the written description to help you kind of understand something. So, yeah, I think both probably are amazingly fun and interesting tool in their own ways. So, yeah. And are there any other final words of wisdom that you might offer people who are either maybe starting out or just curious about using the tarot in their own lives?
let's see. Well, just that the tarot really gives you an unlimited access to your unconscious if you allow yourself to go there, and just to have fun with it. Um, my suggestion though is if you as a reader aren't comfortable reading the dark cards, that you refrain from reading for other people until you get a comfortable relationship with that, um, until no longer a card intimidates you.
Well, that definitely makes a lot of good sense, right?
It's if you draw a card and it intimidates you and you're scared, then you're not ready to give a reading for other people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your own comfort, I'm sure, plays a huge part in the overall, not only confidence, but the depth of the reading that you can provide as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I have one final question for you, and I would like to ask you, what is your best tip for helping people move forward in flow? So, freedom, love, openness, and wonder.
Well, I have a quote here that I really love that I have written on my refrigerator by the 6th century BC Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. And it's care about what other people think, and you will always be their prisoner. And so, my take on that is live from your heart and not from your head, and be kind as kindness grows the spirit and strengthens your soul, and to walk in gratitude. And the clarity of an open mind and an open heart, um, when you walk that way, the truth will be offered to you and everything good will follow.
That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think it's hard to always remember that on a daily basis, but that's beautiful. Thank you.
Welcome.
Well, I really, really enjoyed our chat. Thank you so much for doing this very first episode with me. And I actually really look forward to connecting with you for doing reading. That is
Yeah.
going to be so much fun.
Well, thank you, Ash. It was fun for me too. Thank you.